Hey, Jeff here. So, just happy Monday to everybody, and wanted to just do a quick little video here to show some of the things that I acquired over the weekend. So, a couple weeks ago, Aaron Muta Alamar's channel was doing one of his Tipsy Tuesdays where he's playing music and he's showing records, and he was playing this band in the background, and he kept cranking it up and listening to it, and I kept thinking, wow, these guys sound cool. They sound a lot like Helix, and I just kept getting that feeling. And eventually I made a comment. I just said, man, this band is really good. I'm going to check them out. I didn't even know anything about them. They're from the 90s. They put out a few albums, and I had never heard them before. So I just mentioned they sound really good. They remind me a lot of Helix. And so anyway, Aaron had multiple copies. Since he had the vinyl, he sent me the CD, The Four Horsemen. So, nobody said it would be easy. It was playing in the background, cranking in the background. Like I say, so much, his vocal sounded so much like Brian Vollmer from Helix. And I just kept thinking, and they got that bluesy, gritty, hard rockin' type metallic sound. And it just was impressive. And so, yeah, he threw me the CD out to me. And it came in last week. And I've been listening to it, and it still quite a bit reminds me of like the bluesier side of Helix. And so, yeah, really enjoyable stuff. I'll be on the lookout now for other, releases by this band, because I wasn't even aware of him back in the day. He's been joining me since they came out 30 years ago. So, yes, thank you, Aaron. It's great to be turned on to new music and bands that are really just, hard rock and great stuff. So, anyway, thanks a lot. Check out Four Horsemen if you haven't. I wasn't even aware this release was out. It's a band that I've got most of their stuff digitally, but was unaware that they had a new album out last year. Actually, they've got one out this year too, but it's only on CD, I guess CDR through the band when they were playing shows. But anyway, you may not be familiar with this band. They're an Australian band by the name of Teramaze. Let me see. So, this is their 2019 Are We Soldiers? And here's what happened. I saw them pop up on another site that was an email that said they were selling these, and it was a decent price, and I thought, oh, that's cool. Anyway, I quickly popped over to Amazon and checked it out, and lo and behold, I couldn't believe it. Amazon had this for $8.90, brand new, not a warehouse deal, not a scratch and dent, double record set. Now, if you're not familiar with Teramaze, they're an Australian band. They started back in the 90s, mid to late 90s, and they were kind of like a thrashy type, progressive, melodic vocals, but still, a little edgy, thrashy type feel. And they put out two main albums, and they were classified as a Christian metal band. Lyrically, along that lines. And they were even Mortification. Steve from Mortification had some dealings with them, and I don't know, did he produce one of the early albums? Or anyway, he was involved in those first couple albums. Well, I don't know the full story. So they put out two albums, and then I think they kind of broke up. Last album I think was in like 98. Well, then in like 2001 they put out another album which was a totally different style. And then they kind of disappeared. So that was around 2001. In 2012, they popped back up with a new album. Now, they had member changes. I think the guitar player may have been the only member that was still part of the band. And they no longer had the spiritual type lyrics. They were basically just an all-out progressive metal band. Melodic, progressive metal. Great stuff, great stuff. But totally, were not the same band with the same lyrical content or members of that nature. So 2012, 14, 16, 19, they put out a handful of albums, and they've all been top-notch progressive metal, symphonic, progressive type melodic metal. Great stuff. So yeah, I pick up whenever I see them, I pick up their stuff. Was unaware that this had come out. I guess I'm not following that closely. Anyway, 2019, this came out. I could not, for $8.90, I could not pass up. As I said, it is a double. It is a gatefold. You got members of the band there. Symphonic progressive metal with technical guitar work. That's how they say on their little hype sticker, which is got glare all over it. So yeah, check out Teramaze if you're into that kind of music. I am, and they have quite a few great releases in the 2010 era. And like I said, there is another one that they just came out with, but it looks like it was only sold through the band on tour, so maybe it'll be eventually released. All right, other than that, happened to be stumbled across some stuff at Best Buy over the weekend. Had to go there for my daughter's birthday present to pick up something, and flipping through the records, I found this, Ozzy's Blizzard of Oz. And, you know, what's so special about this? It's been out forever, right? But it says, you know, exclusive Best Buy black and red swirl. I thought, huh, you know, and the price was right. So I went ahead and threw this in. And then I get home and I go to log it on Discogs, and I see down at the bottom somebody comments, well, you know, this pressing is okay. Doesn't sound, you know, it's not super, you know, it looks nice, sounds okay. And then somebody else commented and said, I don't know about you all, but when I played it, I was getting little red shavings all over the place. It was like my needle was cutting into it. You can see it's kind of a marble red black. And he was saying his needle was actually shredding parts of the vinyl. Pieces were coming out, and that he had all this like red dust afterwards. I'm like, great, what is this? Some kind of a cheap knockoff? And so, you know, I went ahead and played it. Sounded great to me. Oh, the first guy said, it's an okay pressing, but lots of pops and clicks from the get-go. Something like that. Well, I played it. Didn't sound nothing wrong with it. I think it really has to do with the kind of player you have, obviously. And even the second guy who was talking about how it was shredding things, he's like, maybe it's just my player because I played it on another record player, and it seemed fine, and blah, blah, blah. So I played it. Didn't have any problems, didn't have any pops and cracks, didn't have any shavings. I'm done playing it, I'm picking it up, and I'm kind of like shaking it and tapping on it to see if anything comes out on my white platter to see if I can see anything. Anyway, it seems totally fine. It apparently just came out like 2 weeks ago, this particular pressing. So I just happened to stumble in there and got it. So yeah, I finally grabbed this. I do need some of the earlier stuff, and I'm glad to have picked that up. The main thing I really kind of was there to look, I saw that I really wanted was this. I picked up the Tom Petty Wildflowers and all the rest. Now, I got the 3 vinyl edition. There is a 7 version. There's a box set, I think, that has even more. But mainly what you have here, if you're not aware, is you have 2 albums that have the album Wildflowers on it. This is like Tom Petty's, second solo album. There's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and then there's Tom Petty. This was like his 94, so this would have been like, I think, his second non-Heartbreakers. I know there was at least the one before. And so this two albums are the album, and then all the rest is the third record, which is basically, 10 songs, I think, that were recorded around the time or during the time of Wildflowers, but didn't make it on the album. Now, some of them are alternative takes that ended up being on the She's the One soundtrack. Some are alternative takes that, had not been released. But there are, I think, 5 previously unreleased tracks. So it's got a handful of new songs and some alternative mixes. Great stuff. I got home immediately through the third album one because I'm obviously familiar with the Wildflowers album, but I wanted to hear those tracks. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is from the She's the One soundtrack. Great stuff. But when you pick up the, like the 7-disc edition, you get 4 more LPs of alternative, live, things like that. It's not the stuff that I would listen to enough to make it worth splurging to get the 7 record set. I will probably get the digital tracks because there's even more. But I'll get all of that digitally because those are the kind of things that I wouldn't probably find myself reaching for on vinyl. This is the core. You have the main album, and then you have a whole nother album of material, which is great stuff. And it sounds great. It's funny. So I share things online on Facebook and stuff, and I always have those friends that make comments like, vinyl, it's so poppy and it's so noisy. CDs are so much better. And at first, I would kind of agree in the sense of that's how I remember growing up. Everything, records popping and cracking. Occasionally they do that. But then you realize when you get an album in today that's new, or an album that has been taken care of, you really don't have any pops and cracks. I don't know. I listen to it. I'm like, this sounds amazing. I don't hear the pops and cracks. So it's just funny. So some people are, and I think because as kids we didn't take care of our albums and everything did pop and crack. And when you buy albums now, they pop and crack if they haven't been taken care of. But if you get a good album that's been taken care of and handled properly, I don't notice it, and it could be the system again. Anyway, I don't know. Just throwing that in there because I hear people say that a lot, and then when I listen to records that are new or well cared for and don't hear that, it's just like, you got to kind of change that perception. That's all for now, though. I will be back very soon. Just wanted to share the weekend's finds, and I will see you later. Rock on.